Hello, everybody, and welcome. Happy Thursday to you guys. And really excited to be here with you today. And we are here, of course, for the Live with Leslie live stream. And let me just say if you're a health professional, and you are interested in working with brands, or perhaps you would like to work with the media, but are very confused about where to start, how to get this ball rolling forward, you are definitely in the right place. Because today we have an opportunity, and I'm so very excited about this. We have an opportunity to chat with media dietitian, very well known media dietitian, Amy Gorin. And Amy earns over 200,000 per year annually from her media and brand work. And she's going to be dishing on how to earn six figures from media and brand work so that you yourself can begin to leverage really what I think is a very unique opportunity for us as a health practitioner. So, again, I want to welcome you to the Live with Leslie live stream. And I'm Leslie Vitel, and I am a practice growth expert and mentor specifically for health professionals. And I help my clients to attract more right fit clients into their practices, sell more programs, and ultimately grow a profitable practice, integrating multiple streams of income into their business model. So, this topic today is perfect, right? Because it is potentially another revenue stream that you can really create for yourself. Or maybe you want to go full in and really have this be your exclusive revenue stream. Whatever the case, you are in the right place. And I'm really excited to chat with Amy. So, Amy, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, I know. Finally, after a lot of trying to coordinate and emailing and kind of crossing paths, right? We finally get to connect. So this is amazing. So instead of me reading your amazing bio, what I'd love to hear from you is a little bit about the backstory. We know that you're a dietitian, you have a master's degree in nutrition. I know that you're nationally recognized as a plant-based media dietitian. You're out of Stamford, Connecticut, right? And you've really achieved massive success working with the media. So, what I'd love to hear a little bit about, I'd love to hear your backstory. How did you end up doing what you're doing now?
And I love sharing this story. Leslie and I were chatting before we went live, and I said, I never even knew I was going to be a dietitian. I think she was
wow. Yeah, tell us about that first.
Backtrack. So my undergraduate education was in journalism and art, and then I went to journalism grad school, and I started working at Prevention Magazine. That was my first magazine editor job, and I was in the nutrition department. And this was back in, I want to say 2007-ish. And I was interviewing an expert about omega-3s, and the expert was so kind and spent I think almost 2 hours on the phone with me telling me about all the nuances between EPA and DHA and ALA. And I got off the phone and I was like, this is fascinating. I want to be able to understand this in 2 minutes, not 2 hours. And so I started thinking about going back to school. And then it was a 7-year journey while night school at NYU while working part-time. I mean, full-time, part-time school, full-time job.
Whoa, that's a lot.
So I went from Prevention to American Baby Magazine to Parents Magazine, and then Health, and then Weight Watchers Magazine and WeightWatchers.com. And then I finally had to, stop working to go do my dietetic internship. And that was really the moment where I pivoted. So I finished my internship, and I just thought, I spent my whole magazine career observing other media dietitians. I'm just going to go see if I like this line of work. And I never looked back. It's so much fun.
Amazing. So you were in journalism as your first career.
Yeah. So that was my first career.
Your second career dietitian.
Yeah. And there's a lot of us, who kind of just realize either you want a whole new career, or in my case, I kind of mixed both of, journalism and media with being a dietitian. And the two go really well together.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I feel like, you're so fortunate because you understand how that whole world operates because you were working in it. And
Yeah.
and now you bring, this expertise to the table. Well, specifically, around plant-based nutrition, you've got the credentials, to back you up. And now kind of fast forward to where we are, I think you said since 2017, helping other, is it specifically dietitians break
So it's all health
into?
professionals.
Okay.
So Master of the Media was born in 2017, kind of as a passion project, just because so many people would come and ask questions about, how do you work with the media? How do you get quoted in the media? How do you work with brands?
Yeah.
And so it kind of was Master of the Media was kind of like a side project for a little while until a few years ago when it's really what lights me up, working with students every day to help them get featured in the media, get quoted in outlets like US News and Eat This Not That and Live Strong, and then get to work with brands as a spokesperson, as a recipe developer, as an expert on TV. And it's just it's really, I think, getting more credentialed health experts into the media so that we can be heard and share our messages with millions. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah. I love that. What a great, a beautiful combination. And then just kind of looking at the evolution of where you started, kind of working behind the scenes as a journalist, it sounds like, and then moving into this space ultimately where you're helping other health practitioners break into this particular industry.
Yeah. Basically, I'm taking 2 decades of my journalism expertise and kind of crash coursing it down into months so that people can learn it a lot faster than I did.
Okay, so it's different than PR, right?
Yes,
Okay,
PR.
can you kind of explain that difference?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You might have heard the term public relations or
Yeah.
publicist, and that is when you have someone basically doing all of this for you. And so, which sounds
Okay,
great, right? It sounds
right.
great if you have a publicist and they're getting you into the media. But maybe you're paying that publicist, a $5,000 retainer a month, and they're getting you in, say, 1 or 2 pieces of media, if that.
Okay.
And when you learn how to do this yourself, first of all, it's a one-time investment to learn it. And then you can just, our students get we have one student who got 50 media placements over the course of 6 months. That's a lot more than the example I just gave, right? And that media exposure can then lead to brands becoming aware of you and wanting to hire you as a spokesperson. That's when you get into those 5-figure partnerships that add up to a 6-figure income stream, is when you start working with brands to do recipe development or speaking engagements or, just hosting media events or even behind the scenes work as well.
Okay. Okay. So interesting. Okay. Yeah. I was always curious about how those roles differed. And that's a great explanation. So basically, you're teaching your students how to be their own PR person, right? I mean, essentially, like,
Exactly. So that you don't have to rely on anyone else to get this income stream up and running.
okay. Yeah, because that, I don't know, like I've never looked into that for myself, but I would imagine it is pretty costly. I'm just guessing, right?
Yeah,
Especially,
and the cost never goes away. Like the minute you stop it, you still don't know how to do it yourself.
oh, right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes a ton of sense now. I would love to hear from our audience. Let's see. Let me see, make sure I can see my comments. Oh, good. Hey, Nora. Welcome. So happy to have you here with us today. And Nora is excited to hear all about the ins and outs. And okay, so we've got a few people that have really been looking forward to this. Guys, give me a comment in the chat area. Just let us know where you're at in this world. Have you done things with media? Have you worked with brands? Just kind of give us a little bit of a clue as to where you're at in this journey. And that way we can, we can kind of tailor our conversation to so that it can be more helpful for you. All right. So let's start with kind of the basics. So what is a media dietitian? It's
So that's a great
what we
question.
hear, right? I hear it around, but yeah, what the heck is it exactly?
Yeah, so that is a wonderful question because, yeah, you hear that term and you might be like, so I know what a private practice dietitian is, I know what a clinical dietitian is, what is a media dietitian? And essentially, a media dietitian is exactly what it sounds like, a dietitian who is working with the media. So, in my case, I'll just use myself as an example. And I'm so sorry if you can hear, like, they just started mowing the lawn outside my window.
Oh,
You can
it
never
figures.
control what
Okay.
happens.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So I am interviewed by the media pretty much every single day. So outlets like US News and Parade and Live Strong, they come to me and they ask me like, okay, I'm writing an article on the benefits of cucumbers, or how to feed your child a plant-based diet. And so I answer those questions and I'm quoted in the media. And I also write articles for outlets like Food Network and Everyday Health. And I also go on TV to be interviewed about nutrition. So that could be local TV, national TV, podcast, conversations like the one we're having right now. And so that's kind of the part one of being a media dietitian.
Mhm.
You can be a media dietitian without having that baseline media exposure. And so
Okay.
once you get that exposure, you build name recognition. And so people read about you, and that's when you get people reaching out to you not having to do the publicity for them to become your one-on-one clients or your group clients. And that's when brands might reach out to you, or you can reach out to them and they'll be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what article you're talking about that you were quoted in. And that's when you can start talking about having those paid spokesperson partnerships, creating recipes, writing articles for your blog, for their blog, creating materials for them to hand out at trade shows, doing recipe demos on behalf of brands. Like literally the list is endless. And that can even lead to paid speaking engagements, writing books, and getting more money because you have that name recognition versus if you weren't known.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's take a look at some of our comments that just came in. Oh, hey, Dorothy. Yeah, I don't know why Facebook does not want me to know who you are. I don't know why that is. So this is Dorothy, and I wanted to let's see. I'm this at Tufts, but my parents wouldn't. Oh, you wanted to go into this at Tufts, but your parents wouldn't support you in getting your master's degree. Got it. What was your master's degree going to be in? It sounds like it was something in journalism or media. Yeah, those parents, right?
I think
Okay.
Tufts has a really robust nutrition communications program.
Okay. She wanted to go, oh, communications and nutrition. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, and Nora says, I am called to do seasonal pieces on our local ABC affiliate and am very comfortable in front of a camera. How can I get them to call me more often or to get in front of other outlets? Ooh, good question. Do we want
Yeah.
to take that now?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay.
So the first thing is that I think, and this is something that it's just changing your perception. You don't have to, and you should not wait for them to reach out to you. So you
Okay.
have that relationship with them. Reach out to them and say, hey, I have this idea, like it's back to school season. How about we do, a session on allergy friendly snacks or whatever your niche
Mhm.
is. And then you can take that, like you have those videos, you can even make what's called a reel, like a 2-minute kind of like highlight reel of what you've done. And you
Okay.
can send that to other stations. You can say, hey, I've been on this station. I'd love to come to you. And these days a lot of stations, even like I've done virtual TV segments, like I live in Connecticut, I've done segments for Philadelphia and Los Angeles from my house. So really the sky's the limit with geographical location, and just
Right.
the more you pitch yourself out there to all of these stations, the more media exposure you're going to get.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so I think the bottom line, Nora, is we gotta ask for what we want, right? And
Yes.
just and pitch the idea, pitch the concept, and not wait, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I see that. That's probably like one of the biggest things I see is kind of people just like, oh, why is this person getting these opportunities and I'm not? And the difference is it's not that that person's better or more talented than you. It's just that they're doing more outreach than you are.
Got it. And I don't know if you can answer this, but like as I think about, okay, if I were in Nora's shoes and I wanted to be more, assertive and like put my name out there, what I'm thinking is, well, how do I know who to write to? Or like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who's the person? Do
Yeah.
you
So,
have to know kind of like who to reach out to be
and that's
successful?
something that is probably one of the biggest kind of pieces of the puzzle that you have to put together.
Mhm.
In the Master the Media Coaching program, which I run, we have kind of a like whole cheat sheet of the formula for sending these emails out.
Okay.
But the long and short of it is you just have to spend a few minutes doing research. Go to that TV station's website. Usually there's a contact. And if it's a general person, it's always better to find out like, maybe then you're going to do your own research based on the email format that you found, and you're going to go to LinkedIn and you're going to go to Instagram and figure out who is the producer of this segment, and that's who you want to reach out to versus some general inbox like media at
Okay.
tvstation.com.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. All right. Okay. I'm sure that's helpful, right, Nora? Okay, great. All right. So why do you recommend that practitioners, dietitians included, get involved with the media? I mean,
Yeah.
there's the obvious, right? There's because it can make you some money, right? Well, what are some other reasons?
Yeah, I would say whether you want to add an additional income stream to your current business or not,
Mhm.
having a website where someone goes to your website, and I'm sure you've seen this, like you scroll about 2/3 of the way down and you see what's called an as seen as section. So there's logos, like on mine it has logos for people and today and all of these
Yeah.
websites, and so that gives you that instant credibility where people don't have to spend, and they're not gonna spend 20 minutes taking a deep dive into you and saying, is this person really credentialed? Do they really know their stuff? They get that instant authority. And so that can serve you in so many ways. If you want more one-to-one clients, that can get those people in your door. We had one student who, like, she got onto 2 podcasts within her niche, and that brought in $48,000 in one-on-one client revenue just from the exposure she got from those podcasts. And
Wow.
so that can serve you amazingly well in that sense alone. And then there's all of the other things we've already talked about, working with brands, making that money. But then the intangibles are, you get like this flexible schedule. You can work from home and decide when you're going to go on vacation and decide when you want to work, and maybe take a break in the middle of the day to go do a doctor's appointment or a workout and then come back. And you have this flexibility. You can spend more time with your family. If you want, to take a 2-week vacation, it's a little bit easier than if you have like a boss saying, hey, this is the
Yeah.
schedule you have to keep.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because I think like my own perception before like you could do this at home would have been, oh my God, you got to be at their beck and call. You have to like get on an airplane and like be ready to go, or be, ready to get in the car and drive to the big metro area. Kind of like that doesn't sound super flexible to me.
Yeah.
But it really, I was like, yeah, yeah, it doesn't sound that
And
great.
these days, like the amount of times I do in-person media events, or maybe like once or twice a quarter,
Yeah.
and everything else, I really just like sell the fact that like, let's make it virtual so everyone can attend, and then it's good for the brand, it's good for me, I don't have to spend a whole day commuting,
Right.
and then everyone's happy.
Exactly. Like I think nowadays it truly does sound great, flexible. I guess I wonder if you have a private practice,
I
how
don't. So I
you kind of,
started,
I wonder how you
yeah,
juggle that. Is it still where they go,
yeah.
okay,
I
we need
started
you like today, in an hour kind of a thing? Is that kind of the life?
Yes and no. So I started off having a private practice, and it's just honestly, it's not for me. So I don't see patients anymore. But a
Okay.
lot of my students, the majority of them have patients, and
Okay.
it's very easy to juggle. It's a lot of times the more you get into the media world, you kind of just organically want to reduce your client load. Like maybe you start off with, 50 clients a week, and
Okay.
now you're down to 10 because you're doing all of these other things. Um, And really, it's just about setting expectations. So, like, every once in a while, I have a reporter comes to me and they say, I need this in an hour. And sometimes I can do it and sometimes I can't. But most of the time, the deadline's not that tight. It's usually like you have 2 or 3 days to get the answers back to them or prepare for the TV segment,
Okay.
at least.
Okay, that's totally reasonable. And the fact that oftentimes it's right out of your house. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Which,
it
I mean, you still have to, if it's a TV segment, you still have to prep, but it's a lot more palatable to like not have to transport all the groceries and everything.
oh, that's true. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you're doing like a demo of some sort, like you still gotta, yeah, be ready for that. Okay, that's awesome though. I think that sounds, relatively doable. And frankly, it does sound like, you know, different and fun. Okay, so we talked a little bit about how doing this type of work can help your business grow, and it sounds like a big piece of this is, increasing your brand recognition, and also elevating your brand by, being able to say, hey, I was featured on XYZ, right? And,
Yeah.
and having those logos on your website. So it's like this instant elevation of, of,
Absolutely.
of your the perceived value of your brand, right?
Yeah. And you can even say, like, one thing that I think is really fun, I always have my students kind of compile their media coverage. And so you can say, like, through this media coverage, I've reached an audience of 80 million people, or even, sometimes it's like 700 million. And that's a huge number, right? That sounds instantly impressive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Start, yeah, floating those numbers out there. It is impressive. Um, how so any more comments or like specific information that you want to share on how it can help you to generate more revenue in the business?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you just think about, like, if you're thinking about your current business, if you have just currently, one revenue stream, you're seeing patients,
Okay.
or maybe you have a second revenue stream where you're selling supplements to those patients. So here is a whole additional revenue stream that can, and say those first two revenue streams, you're maybe netting out like $50,000 a year, and you want to get to that six-figure mark. So this is the income stream that you can add to your business that will push you over that edge.
Mhm.
And now you can have kind of just like not be as stressed out about, like budgeting your money.
Right.
It really just allows you to do those additional things. Like maybe you want to be the breadwinner for your family and have your husband take care of your child, or maybe you want to pay for IVF or adoption, or you just want to go on a vacation, or you want to help your parents, or you want to do something amazing like adopt a local family in need. So
Right.
all of these things are possible now that you have this additional revenue, and you're not trading time for money with this revenue stream. That means, like, you're not, when you see patients, you see a patient, you get paid whatever you charge that patient per hour.
Mhm.
When you work with the media and brands, you're getting paid a project fee that's based on the value of your expertise. So you could make $5,000 in 1 hour, and that's because it's not your time, it's the name recognition that's behind your name that you've built up.
Okay. Yeah, that can add up in a big way. I love it. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how one can get started. What are your recommendations on? Because I'm sure this is appealing. Guys, let me know in the comments, what your thoughts are on what we've talked about so far. And certainly if you guys have questions, put them in the chat so we can try to get those answered for you. But tell us a little bit, Amy, if you would, about some of those first steps.
Yeah, so really, step one is getting your name in the media. You can't have the rest of this without that step. And it sounds kind of like, oh my gosh, like that's, having 5 to 7 logos, like that's a lot, but it can happen really quickly if you know the right steps.
Okay.
And actually, I know you have the link. I'm actually hosting a
Hmm.
masterclass next week where we're going over every single step of how to get featured into the media, how to start working with brands, how to pitch yourself to those brands so that you can have that additional revenue stream that nets you that six figure, sometimes even multi six figure income.
Okay. Yeah. So, guys, if you want to sign up for Amy's webinar, I have the link on the screen, and it's lesliebytel.com/Amy G. And I think, I'm not positive if that's case sensitive. Actually, it may not be. But just so you know, let me give you the title of the webinar. The title is How I Earned 260K in 1 year as a media dietitian and How You Can Too. All right. So sounds pretty intriguing, actually.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I will, if you don't mind, I'm just going to share some numbers because I
Yeah,
think it's important to be transparent,
sure.
about money. So when I was a magazine editor, that was my first career. I started off earning $30,000 a year, which was like in New York City, that's really hard to live off of. And then
That's
the
rough.
most I ever made was 89,000. That was with a bonus that was like a one-time thing.
Mhm.
The minute I pivoted to being a media dietitian, so that first year I earned
Mhm.
147,000, and then the next year, just from those media dietitian income streams, not from everything else, I earned $262,000, and then every year thereafter, 200,000 or more. So I'm sharing all of those details of how I took 20 years of expertise to get to that point and do it really quickly, and I'm teaching you how to do it in a shorter amount of time as well.
Okay. That's great. So, guys, lesliebytel.com/Amy G is the URL to save your seat. And when is your webinar, Amy?
Yeah, so it's August 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then
Okay.
there's another option August 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And that the August 10th one is a CEU credit.
Okay. Okay. So that, it looks like, is, so the 9th is Wednesday and the 10th is
Yeah,
Thursday.
thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
that.
Okay, cool. So next week, guys.
Yeah, and there are limited spaces. So if you're interested, I'd recommend you just sign up as soon as you can.
Okay. Yep. That sounds great. Awesome. This is so interesting. So, are there any other words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience? Any, recommendations? Of course, we guys sign up for the webinar. To be clear, I think that's really going to serve you well, and it's going to be a good use of your time, right? To
Absolutely. It's going to be an information packed hour. We're going to have fun prizes too. I'm literally giving away like a Kate Spade handbag. So it's going to be
Oh,
fun and live. Yeah.
very
It's
fun.
going to be fun. But words of wisdom, I would say, I think a lot of people, are just a little like, I don't want to say scared, but like hesitant to ask for advice, to put themselves out there. And I'd
Okay.
say those are the things that are going to make the biggest difference.
Hmm.
Having people to talk to, like having, a mentorship program that helps guide you, just having a community. And I do have a free Facebook group. If that's called Media Mastery with Amy, if you guys want to join, and that's like a really great community of fellow media dietitians. But that's really like, if you just sit back and wait for it to happen, it might happen, but it's really a chance
Probably.
someone's going to
Yeah.
reach out to you and offer you like what you're dreaming of. A lot of times, most of the time, we have to make our own dreams happen.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that, for sure. Yeah, and what would you say like some of the big fears are? Like what would you say? What is holding people back?
Rejection. I would say people are, I mean, and that's a very normal human emotion, right? But I would say
Fear?
if you want to get into, if you want to be a business owner, period, but if you want to be a media dietitian, you're going to be rejected like over and over and over. That is just a fact of being in that business.
Mhm.
But the cool thing is you get to the point where you kind of just, people are going to say yes to you. People are going to say no to you. Like,
Mhm.
yes, I want to feature you on my TV show. No, or maybe you just won't even get a response. But you'll learn from those experiences, and you get to the point where like, I just kind of like, I'm like, cool, like this person responded to me, like they took their time out of their day even though they said no. And like that's the takeaway that you begin having, and you build your self-confidence in the process.
Okay, so it's not so much fear of being on camera. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Well,
I thought
that's
it was
like,
going to
I would
be
say that's
like
a common one too. I would say like the thing that people, it's not That's not exactly what people say. They always say, like, I don't like to be in front of the scenes.
Okay.
And I would challenge you. I like, first of all, there are so many opportunities behind the scenes. Like, you can be a consultant to a brand, you can create recipes, you can write materials for them. But I would challenge you to say, do you really not enjoy being in front of the camera? Because that was me 20 something years ago. I literally freaked out the day we did this, like in journalism school, we had a TV day. And now I'm just like, it's the most fun thing I do is being on camera. And so
Okay.
you just like get this adrenaline rush from it, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, that's so interesting. I would think it's about fear about being on camera and then not really knowing what to say. Like I always hear this thing, talking snippets, no, talking sound bites. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Yes,
What does
that's a
that
great
mean?
question.
I just heard someone say that the other day. I'm like,
so a soundbite
what does
is
that mean?
the actual definition of it is a short recorded saying that is memorable and quotable. So like basically the example I like to give is instead of like if someone asks you about fiber, instead of saying to a reporter, well, fiber, it's beneficial for, for cholesterol levels that helps prevent cardiovascular health events. And you might be like, what did you just say?
Yeah, like
Or
my eyes are glazing over already, right?
yeah. Or you could say, think of fiber as a broom that sweeps through your body, collecting cholesterol that you excrete when you go to have a bowel movement. And that helps your heart health. And then you're like, oh, I can literally picture that. And so that's really like what talking to the media is learning how to take the version A of it and turn it into.
I don't know if I would think to make it sound that way. Like, is that a skill you develop over time?
It's a skill that we teach in my coaching program.
Okay.
But I remember like having that thought, like, 20 something years ago when I was like, starting to be a journalist. Yeah. And very quickly, because I read this article, I read an article of like a dietitian and she was explaining like all of the intricacies of some metabolism process. I don't even remember what it was. And I was like, how did she remember all of that from like the textbooks, come to realize like, nobody out there, unless like this is the area of research they live and breathe every day, can really say those things off the cuff. Most of the time you have an opportunity to research things yourself and then kind of, get back to the reporter and say it in that soundbite friendly way. You're not expected to like memorize all of these things and be able to say everything off the cuff. So I think that's one of the biggest things is realizing you don't have to know everything at this moment in time.
Yeah, because one of the things I hear is, it's just a common fear. What if, and this is not even on TV, okay?
Yeah.
It's like the fear of being asked something and you don't know the answer. I hear that all the time, like fear around giving a talk. Oh my God, what if I'm up there and someone asks me a question and I don't know the answer? Or what if I'm giving a class and I don't know the answer?
Yeah, or you're speaking. One of my favorite responses to that is, I don't have the answer right now. Let me get back to you. And that, I know how you might think, gosh, that feels weird to say, I don't know. But admitting that you don't have the answer right this second, that gives you that extra level of authority because people can really trust you knowing that you're not going to just say something for the sake of saying it.
Oh, I think so too. Like if you just come up with some, answer and it's really surface and you're not really answering the question, you're kind of, I don't think that does not develop the know, like, and trust that we're always wanting to create, right? So yeah, I love that. I think you're way better off just saying, you know what, let me get back with you.
And that, yeah. And sometimes it's not even you getting back to them. Sometimes you say, well, I really think my colleague is better suited to answer this for me. She's a specialist in cardiovascular health while my specialty is plant-based nutrition. And that is also very, very fine and actually very good.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Okay, great. This is so awesome. Guys, so I still have the link. So go to lesliebytel.com/Amy G. Grab your seat on Amy's webinar, either next Wednesday or Thursday. And I think you said the one on Thursday is approved for, is it a 1 CEU?
It's 1 CEU. Yeah. And the
Okay.
class will be a little bit longer that day just to abide by all the CEU guidelines.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so grab your seat, learn a little bit more about how you can, get moving in the direction of becoming, just I'm all about revenue streams, so
Yes, you are.
out there, I'm a little obsessed with that, obviously. And I just think it's such a great way to elevate your brand, right?
It
And
is.
that
Just to
to me
have
is
those
one of the
logos
biggest benefits.
to use. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really truly amazing. And it's not something that's going to take you years to get to the point of, executing.
That's
A lot
awesome.
faster
Yeah,
than
and
that.
I think it could be a lot of fun. And the other thing I'll say is, now I've not done it myself, but I do show up on camera every single week, and I have
Yes.
for almost 4 years. Well, it'll be 4 years in December. And what I can tell you about the process, again, it is a little different. Obviously, I'm not like on national TV and things like that, but it get it does get easier when you just start doing it. It's one of those things that you just got to do it. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that, Amy?
I totally agree. And I'd say that with anything with media, with writing, because that's another thing I
Oh,
hear a lot.
right. Writing too. It's
I
like
find
like an
it so
it's a muscle.
slow and painful to write. But if you I can tell you, if I take a 2-week vacation and try to write, I'm like, this is a little bit challenging.
Well,
But if you get
interesting
into
how that is. Yeah.
flow of several times a week, it's so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is true. I noticed that myself. Like, oh my God, it can be so challenging if I haven't done it for a while. I just have that blank screen. But once you jump in and just do it, I promise you it gets easier and easier. And then before you know it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, what was I worried about? This is so much
Yes.
fun. You know?
Yes. It's like the whole analysis paralysis, just go and do it. Stop thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which, yeah, many of us as RDs, like that whole perfectionism thing. That's a whole nother topic.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. That's,
We
that's a
can have
whole
a
other
whole
hour of
live just
conversation.
on that. All right, guys. So, all right. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up. Anything, any kind of final things that
Yeah.
you want to share?
Well, I'm just so excited to see you guys at the masterclass next week. As Leslie said, it's Wednesday and Thursday, August 9th and 10th. And if you have any questions for me after you watch this, if you're watching it later, I'll pop back and answer them. So I hope we can continue to have that conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyone watching the replay, pop those questions in, tag us. We'll be sure to hop in and get you squared away, get you taken care of. All right, guys. So have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Amy,
Thank you so much.
really appreciate your willingness to come on and chat with us. This is a really cool topic. I learned a ton and really appreciate your time today. So thanks, everybody. Really love spending some time with you, and I'll look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. All right.
Thank you so
Bye for
much.
now. Thanks, Amy.
Bye.